Hey guys, this is God of Politics and welcome back to a brand new video. Before we get started, please subscribe to show your support because I really appreciate it. This video is talking about demographic trends in the electorate for the coming elections and answering the question of whether the Republicans can ever win again. Please note that many of these changes we are seeing will not have the same impact as 2020 as they will in future elections, as I believe it is more probable than not that Donald Trump will win re-election, so these trends may not have that big of an impact in the coming election. But what we have seen over the past couple of years and decades is that the country is changing very rapidly, and this is going to have large impacts. This Pew Research article about demographic trends lists a couple of ways how America is going to change in the coming years and decades. First of all, millennials and Gen Z have become a larger share of the electorate, and millennials are more democratic. Millennials voted 55% for Hillary Clinton, which is down from 60% under Obama in 2012, but it is still a slim majority. And looking at Gen Z, it is likely becoming more democratic due to the fact that it is a larger makeup of minorities. Minorities overall voted 75% for Hillary Clinton. The next factor here that it lists is the Hispanic vote, which is majority Democratic as well. Turnout is a major factor in deciding how this will affect the results. It is also going to negatively affect Republicans if Hispanics will make up a larger share of the population. And this lists just a bunch of different ways how the demographics are changing, but a large part of it is talking about immigration and how the younger generations are going to be less white, and that could negatively hurt Republicans. Um, Looking at another article by Pew Research, this is talking about how Trump won the white vote here by the same margin that Romney won it with in 2012. The white vote is a declining share of the electorate, and not being able to gain in the white vote is worrying for Republicans. Looking at the gender gap, we do see a growing divide between men and women in who they're voting for. I don't believe this helps either side, and it is just a change we are seeing based specifically on who each candidate is in the election. Another change we are seeing is that the vote of people who are not all college educated is becoming a lot more Republican, especially amongst white voters, which the vote of people who are while the vote of people who are college educated is becoming more Democratic. I also don't see this as going to help either side either, as I believe this is also dependent on each candidate and how corporate they are, how tied to the establishment they are, which is part of the reason why it hurt Hillary Clinton, which is part of the reason why you can see here the white vote became a lot more Republican. And to put this into actual votes here, we see the Republicans have done better in the past three elections ever since the 2008 election when the Obama won in a landslide. The only election since that the Republicans have not gained in since 2008 is the 2018 elections, which is the most recent election. We see in 2008 election, Barack Obama was able to win a lot of states that Hillary Clinton lost. These states include Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida. Many of these states, particularly the ones in the Rust Belt, have been trending red. In the long run, this is going to massively help the GOP, as they are able to win many states more comfortably than they had not won since 1988, or even some in 1984. This is due in part to the non-college educated vote that has become more Republican in recent elections, which has helped with the Rust Belt and with blue-collar workers. However, there are still some states that have been trending blue in recent years, and this could hurt the GOP. The first state is Arizona. In 2012, Mitt Romney won Arizona by 10 points. In 2016, you can see here, Trump won it by 4.5 points. That's a 5-point swing to the Democrats in a year the Democrats underperformed almost everywhere. Looking at 2018, the last midterm, we can see that the Democrats were they were able to win the Senate seat here by 2.5 percentage points. Kyrsten Sinema won the seat here by 2.5 percentage points. And while this was a wave year, it shows that the Democrats have an ability to win in states that once used to vote Republican by larger margins. Texas is another example here. In 2012, Mitt Romney won Texas by 16 points. In 2016, Donald Trump won it by 9. And in the midterms of 2018, Ted Cruz was only reelected by 2.5 percentage point. And again, I'll repeat that this was a wave year in 2018, but it does show massive changes that have occurred rather quickly. It went from 16.9 to 2.5 in just the span of 6 years. The final state I'll talk about is Georgia. Georgia, back in 2012, was won by Mitt Romney by 8 points, with raised turnout among black voters because of Barack Obama being the president. 2016, Hillary Clinton only lost it by 5 against Donald Trump. And looking at 2018, if we can go to the governor's map here, we see that Stacey Abrams only lost the seat by 1.5 percentage points. And we can see that there are many trends here to the blue column in the Sun Belt, we call it. Arizona, Texas, Georgia. Places like New Mexico have become a bit more Democratic, but they have always been Democratic for a very long time. I can't remember. I think it might have been 2004, the last time that it went to a Republican. And yeah, it shows a lot about the trends. Trends that states that trended blue in 2016, where there were no trends almost anywhere else. This is in part due to the Latino vote becoming more prevalent, but it's not just that, it's also the suburban female vote that's become a lot more democratic. If we look at the 2016 election here, we see the change of 2012. We can see this area here, the Atlanta suburbs, has become the area that has trended towards the blue column. The only area in Georgia that trended towards the blue column, while the state as a whole trended blue, it was only in this area, the Atlanta suburbs, where most people live. In Arizona, you see, in Texas, you see the areas, a lot of these suburban areas, Dallas suburbs, Houston suburbs, they were trending blue. Whereas if we look at this, almost no other areas trended blue. The Rust Belt trended completely red. We see same thing in 2012. We see the same thing here. We see that the shift from 2008. Arizona did trend a little bit. Georgia did trend here. And Texas did trend a little bit. And they were dramatic in 2016, but it does show that these demographic changes are real. If we look at YAPMS here, we can see how this is going to affect the coming elections. I filled out all these safe states, states that will pretty much go no matter what, who the candidate is. And this is going to completely change campaigning, who wins these states. For example, if we give Nevada and Colorado and New Mexico to the Democratic candidate, we'll give Colorado and New Mexico by lean margins, Nevada by likely margins, and Nevada by a lean margin. We could also give Minnesota by a tilt margin. And then you see a lot of these states that have been changing. You see, we could also give Virginia, which has been trending blue, we give New Virginia by a likely margin. We could also give North Carolina, states which have been trending red since it went to Obama in 2008. We could give that him. Florida has also been trending a bit red. The state and local politics are almost completely controlled by Republicans, and now Donald Trump has won this in 2016. We could give that by a lean margin. Maine at large, we will give by a likely margin. But then looking at some of these other states, we look at these states that have been trending. Iowa went by a safe margin in 2016 after going to Obama both times. You see the Republicans are having more of a stranglehold on that area. Same thing with Ohio, a state that they need to win the presidency. They've never won without it. Looks like they are getting more of a stranglehold on this state as well. And if you see here, even if they are able to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, states that have been trending, if the Democrats are able to win Arizona because of the trends, they are able to win Texas because of the trends, and Georgia, it wouldn't even matter if the Republicans won New Hampshire because the Democrats have been able to win the Sun Belt. Well, I do think it is unlikely that the Democrats will be able to win Texas. I think that the Arizona, out of the three states that I talked about trending blue, Arizona would be the first one to trend to flip blue. Georgia would be the second one, and Texas would be the third one. If that ever happens, which is unlikely, but it could happen. We have seen it's been trending. We'll see if the trends continue or not, or if the Democrats have become maxed out. Maybe they just did really well in the midterms, which is what we saw. Maybe they can't get any better than that. But if the Democrats are able to win the states that they used to traditionally win, that they haven't lost since 1988 up until 2016, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, as well as winning these three states, they've literally won by landslide margins we're seeing here, similar to the likes of those in 2008. Same thing if they had won these states. But what we happen seeing, the reason that it could be good news for the GOP is that they are doing better in these states, a lot better than they used to, and they can win Texas too. They haven't lost a stranglehold in Texas yet. Donald Trump is probably going to win it by around 10 points this time. So to answer the question, will the Republicans ever win again? Yes, they will obviously win again. This isn't obviously what the map is going to look like. It could change, obviously, and in the future, it could still be different from this. Are the demographic changes going to help Democrats in the future? Do they help Democrats overall? Probably. I'm not sure how big of an impact it's going to have because we have seen conflicting sides going both ways. We see the Rust Belt's trended a lot more red, despite the Sun Belt trending more blue. Hispanic voters in the future might vote more Republican, and Democrats might be able to regain the college voters that they used to have. We just don't know how these trends are going to continue, the trends that we saw in these articles over here. Will these trends continue? We don't really know. Will these trends reverse if we get a new candidate? Will the Republicans change who they appeal to so that they are able to get more of the black vote, more of the Hispanic vote? We don't know. But it'll be interesting to find out. So I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Please like and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys later.